Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another testing video. Today we have an E30 chassis harness. This is number 142. Pretty dope. Hashtag 142 throughout them gang signs. You know what I'm saying? Sick. Let's get into it. So first, we want to check all of our battery powers. Make sure your view, sick. We can see everything. Good. All right. Make sure everything's off. Cool. Nice. We'll check the conn, make sure conn doesn't have power. It's important. Cool. We have AA, which is the second ignition on conn relay, which people use for radios, and then we throw in a battery power, battery constant to retain. If people use it for a radio, they can retain their memory. So perfect. Sweet. So we can key on. This customer has 2 switch panels because they chose to incorporate the window switches in. It must be on a disconnect, and it's on a case-to-case basis. So yeah, cool. All right, let's key on. Woo! All right, now we will check all the key on circuits. Good. Back to the digital dash, which is right here. Cool. Sweet. And we have our inputs and outputs. Good. All right. That's it for, we actually have aftermarket gauges. So this customer is going to, because the E30 cluster connectors are NLA, no longer available, we have the digital dash, and this customer is going to use these flying leads to populate their existing cluster pigtails. Now, it's not that complicated. We aren't doing it right now because we can't get the connectors, but they want a factory cluster and they have aftermarket gauges. So we threw this in for them. And then we also added 3 extra blank wires. And a blank wire is exactly what it sounds like. This is going to fall somewhere in the center of the dash, behind the dash, center of behind the dash. And then over here by the fuse block, we have our inputs and outputs. And if you look, you'll see those 3 purple wires again right there. 1, 2, 3. And all that is really just running the wires in the loom. So it's nice and neat, easy for you. Makes us look good after the fact, because if we didn't do this and you added those wires, you'd have just 3 loose wires that aren't in the loom. So we really try and go up, over, and above for you guys. I hope it shows. Let's get moving along. All right, cool. So this is an E30 with an X20 OBD1. So we checked all the battery powers and the conn. So next we're going to check the starter. Magnificent. Let's see here. What should we check next? Let's just go through it. Let's do hazards. See, this one's not blinking. Let's see here if we can. There it is. Oh, perfect example of checking stuff, making sure your bulbs are good. I just changed both these bulbs, and I know this housing, this is the one where the housing, the terminals were a little corroded. So I tried to clean them as best I could, but I also need to get this out the door. So there we go. That all works. But we also want to check that the digital dash has the blinkers signal sent also. Sorry, I'm focusing on what I'm doing here. I'm probably making no sense. So we just want to check what's going on with these 2 flying leads for left and right. Sick. That works. We're going to check the actual blinkers now. So that is the passenger blinker. So we'll check that in view. Cool. And we're just going to verify that the driver blinker does not have power at the digital dash. So now we're going to switch and go to the other side. And this is all through our LED blinker relay that's included in the harness and wired in. We were doing the OEM BMW for the nostalgic click, beep, whatever it is, but we ran into some issues with aftermarket taillights, so we ended up just wiring in an LED blinker relay into all the chassis harnesses, and that just makes it easier for us, which makes it easier for you as well, because you don't have any hiccups when you smack a wall and say, hey, I'm just going to buy these cheap lights online, and then they're not working right because they're aftermarket LED. So here we have our wiper. Sweet. High beams. Okay, so this is a Euro front end, so there is no we don't have the lights. They're silly glass lights that are bred. So I'm gonna activate that so we can do high beam. So let's check it at the digital dash just to make sure the circuit's on, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do. Cool. So we're gonna take this lead, we're gonna put it here, and we're gonna put it here. There we go. Cool. Right there. We're going to do the same thing on this one. Yep. Cool with that. All right. I actually did forget to put in the headlight switch, so I have to go grab that. Give me 1 second. So we are back. This is the pre-facelift, and this is the facelift. We won't wire this one. These pins and connector are no longer available. They're pretty crazy looking. They slide onto this board. It's kind of a thing. So we can get this connector, and it's the same for same. So you just find a facelift, and then we can plug right into it. We're just going to throw this to the side. Where'd it go? Sweet. So we can get this connector and we can plug right into it, which is ideal. Let's see if we can get the click. Ooh. Ooh, yeah, that's the good stuff. All right, cool. So do we finish this? All right, this switch panel is done. So let's do the running lights. This has an obscene amount of running lights. There's a bunch of extra lights in the trunk. There's a bunch of extra lights everywhere. So we'll start with the digital dash. Be important if I had my ground connected. Remember all those videos where I was pulling my hair out trying to figure out why something wasn't working, and it was because the ground came out? That was funny. All right, cool. Sweet. All right, so that was the digital dash, and then this was the aftermarket gauges, and now we are going to check the inputs and outputs. So what we try and do is, for our chassis harnesses, we try and leave extra circuits where you're going to need them. I know that sounds crazy, but we're actually trying to help. So you have your license plate light and your license plate light in the rear. You have your tail light and your tail light, but then you also have your side bumper lights, which I want to find the other side. There it is. So you have these also, which we plug into. So that's all working. Headlights are working, but we also, because this is the Euro, we also have the halo. So we want to check that. Cool. Which has this super expensive BMW connector, which we wire in, which we can make the pins for as well right here in house. What's going on? Gotta get in there a little bit. There we go. Cool. I'm happy with that. And then we have the front lights, which are front bumper lights. I only have one. I swore I had two. So what I'm going to do is just do this. Sick. Verified. Good to go. Before we get too far along, I want to do the headlights. But before we get too far along, I want to do the third brake light in reverse. So we have headlights. Don't worry, just Euro headlight things on an E30 that no one's really done before, but we just knock it out of the park without even batting an eye. There she is. Sweet. So then we just have to check the headlight on signal for the digital dash. Let's see here. Magnificent. All right, cool. I want to check the third brake light and reverse light before I get too far ahead of myself. Cool. I'll take that. I'm pleased. Let's see what else. I don't know if that was in view. I'm sorry if it wasn't. All right, so we have the third brake light, the passenger light, and this one's not. I feel like this one was the one that was giving me a hard time last time also. I'm trying to just set it up over here so that it's powered. The power. I feel like we flipped them last time in the last E30 video. These taillights are such a pain. I still have nightmares over them. All right, so should be, I think, this one. Yeah, let's just go get a bulb real quick. Give me 2 seconds. See all the healing if the pain's in the past. Move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. Freshie, we're just going to drop this in, and hopefully that is our hiccup. There it is. The wire goes out the top on these. Sorry, I'm hitting everything over here. Okay, let's see. There we go. She's on. Bad bulb. I remember that from last time, so that's why I wanted to do that. All right, cool. So point out a bunch of things, act like I know what I'm doing, and we just have the adder relays. That's it. Adder relays, and then we can button this one up and ship it out. Oh, what we're doing is we're leaving the extra leads for the X20 over near the dash versus the inputs and outputs. Just seems like that might be the play. So it's over here off a disconnect. These are the extra inputs. So yeah, let's check the adder relays. This is gonna be sick. I can button this one up. I've been distracted, and this one's been sitting on my desk for a while, been over a week, and I don't like that. The other tech was laughing at me, telling me that I'm not focusing on my work, and I completely agree with him because I have to also run the business. But I like the camaraderie and the teasing and the pushing to keep you and everybody else moving forward, right? You don't want to get stagnant. You want to keep on keeping on. A little camaraderie is good for everybody. Keeps you on your toes. Keeps you sharp between the ears. Isn't that what the guy on the Wolf of Wall Street says? And that's what makes me money. Revolutions. All right, that's sick. Oh, my finger keeps moving. Cool. I mean, I'll take that. We saw it a bunch of times. Dope. I just got to button it up, pack it up, ship it out to the customer. On to the next one. The next one, we have a really cool thing that we have been keeping secret. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think of our E30 chassis harness. Take care.